Hey, ladies. Hey, welcome to Rooted in Your Confidence. I am Samantha K. Harris, the brag bag strategist. In this space, we don't just talk about building confidence. We talk about keeping it because in male dominated industries, it's not if your confidence will be tested. It's when. Today, I want to talk about what we carry, not the bag on your arm, not the title on your badge. I mean, the weight you actually carry every time you walk into the room. Because here's the truth, what you carry, how you hold it, and whether you protect it, it all shows up whether you mean for it to do it or not. There were times when I walked into the room looking polished. Hair laid, smile on my face. I was ready, looked ready, but on the inside, I wasn't trusting myself. My stitches wasn't tight. My boundaries were wide open. My beliefs about myself were fragile. And every time someone dismissed me, every time I was interrupted, it cut another hole in me, basically, until I felt like all my wins were slipping through the holes. If you've ever felt like that, you're not alone, and you don't have to stay there. So I want to start here because so many of us carry everything alone. We're the strong one, the one who fixes everything, the one who takes care of everyone. And while people might applaud, that's not strength, that's survival. Did you hear what I said? That's survival. When we carry it all by ourselves, our bodies tell us so. Your shoulders are tight, you're breathing shallow, you wake up already bracing for the day. You're armoring up for the day. You're getting yourself prepared for what's going to happen. Not that it definitely is, but we're already preparing ourselves for something's going to happen. And that's not thriving. That's tension. But when you have the right support system, boundaries in place, you self-ally, have allies with people that you actually trust who know you have your back, the weight is lighter. You breathe easier. You show up differently. Because let me tell you, when I think back over things that had happened over my lifetime, I think about when I've worked in these industries and I've had moments where I was, like I said, perfectly dressed and I still wasn't truly showing up. I remember when I first became a supervisor and working in a male-dominated industry, being the only woman, and we were in an emergency situation. So again, I'm new. I'm just a few weeks in. I don't even think I was a few weeks in. And we had an emergency. And no one ever explains to you what you should do, how you should do it. They automatically expect you to know. Like the little intricate details of, hey, when you come into work and you sign in, you immediately do this and you do that. Don't worry about anything else. You have to sit in this seat. Then once they call your name, you prep they didn't explain those little things. So I came in ready to work. I didn't even have my tea or anything, and it was a midnight shift. And the chief at that time called me. He was yelling at me because I wasn't in the place he expected me to be, that I was never told to be. And even though I knew what I was supposed to be doing and I thought I was doing the right thing, him yelling at me threw me off my game. First of all, I didn't expect to be yelled at. Second, I felt unprepared. That's why now we have the program that we have that I manage. When new supervisors come in, I train them. So they're no longer sitting around looking unprepared when they are prepared, but they just don't know the small details. And that unraveled me because I wasn't at that point allied with myself. I was looking around for someone to say, hey, she's new, or for the chief to even recognize, hey, she just got here. She just walked through the door. I remember even I wore a skirt that day, and working in these environments, you don't see women in skirts. I'm in the office now. I'm no longer in the field. So, hey, today I'm going to put a skirt on. The looks I had, the disgust that came from their tongue about how I was dressed. My thought was, I'm an outsider. I don't belong here. I should have done this. I should have done that to stay acceptable in their eyes. I felt pain in my chest when I was sitting there and getting these looks of what is she even doing here? Who told her to put that on? That's not how we dress. And it took me a long time to go back to wearing pants, go back to being me, go back to showing up the way I wanted to, because those were the first moments of me working in this male dominated job, and it really took its toll on me because I wasn't sure. I have other clients who were put in positions where they were an authority over groups. They weren't supervisors, but they were a mechanic, and she'd rather be quiet because anything that the men said to her, with them questioning her, it made her think. She didn't think she wasn't qualified. She was like, who cares? They're not going to listen to me anyway. But I said, how is that making you feel? How are you going to continue your career just shrugging your shoulders because no one's listened to you? They don't have to listen to you, but they do get to respect you, or you get to reiterate, or you get to stand up for yourself in this position. You get to recognize, hey, I'm not showing up because of these little holes, just like the things that they did to me, questioning how I looked, questioning not knowing where to sit or where to stand. They were doing it to her, and she was working what we would consider, what we say is the field, working on a construction site. It made her question if she should be there, if she should have, is she really qualified? Not that she did not question if she was qualified. She questioned if anyone was ever going to listen to her. So she stopped saying anything until she worked with me. When she worked with me, we learned that it doesn't matter how they think or what they want or how they question her. It's how she questions herself and how she plays it small because she doesn't want to feel like they're not listening. Even if they're not, she still got to have a voice and she still got to be heard. So she was able to ask the question, hey, did you hear what I said? I suggested X, Y, and Z, and this is what I wanted. She took the authoritative position that she had and she used her voice in that way to show up. And damned if she didn't feel better. They didn't always listen. They didn't always take her ideas, but at least she verbalized them and called them on not listening, called them on the disrespect that she was receiving when they did not listen, when she was not heard. And some people, some of the men, she said, didn't realize what they were doing. It was their conditioning that had them treating her this way. So what I want you to do, ladies, is tell yourself the truth. Write down everything you're carrying right now. Don't sugarcoat it, because if you sugarcoat it, you're not actually giving yourself a moment to process. That's why this is so important. You need to process what you're thinking, what's happening. And the truth may be, you know what? I chose not to speak up because I didn't want to see them shrug their shoulders. I didn't want to see them roll their eyes. They made remarks and they started labeling me. Write all of those things down. Write them down, because that's when you stand in your truth. And when you stand in your truth, you're not sugarcoating anything. You're honest with yourself. And then once you're honest with yourself, I want you to remember your wins. Look at one time you did show up and ask the questions or didn't allow them to shake you. You're going to use your receipts. You're going to use your brag bag. You're going to pull one receipt out that shows you don't have to prove yourself by overcaring. You're going to trust your support system by having your own back and knowing who your community is. You're going to hold your boundaries and decide what weight is yours to carry and which ones to release. Who can help you carry the load, or how can you carry the load when you're carrying it alone? That's important. Knowing how you choose to carry the load when you feel you're alone, instead of allowing it to weigh you down, allowing you to not feel like you're supposed to be there, that you're bringing value. And what actually holds you together when you have these times when people are taking little pieces of you, piece by piece, and ripping them away? What is actually holding you together? Because we know it's not the outside that keeps you respected. It's what's on the inside that holds you together. If your beliefs are fragile, every no tears at you. Every microaggression feels like proof that you're not enough. But when you've built strong beliefs within yourself, when you know your truth, those moments don't break you. That's what happened with my client. They no longer could break her. She was able to reclaim her points, stand there, have her truth. That's what her inner belief system does, is keeping her together by telling her truth, telling herself that she could have a voice, she could speak up. She was no longer doubting or feeling unworthy or unable to speak. She wrote down her receipts so she could pull in her brag bag when she felt like shrugging her shoulders. Then she started speaking them out loud so that she can truly claim it and own it. You know, she started trusting herself. She rejected the outside stuff. She anchored in herself and what she already knew. She held her power. She owned it. She asked for what she wanted. She put herself in a position where she loved on herself. And despite what they were thinking, and that what they were thinking was no longer her truth. She let them have it, own it, and she did not try to understand it because that's their business. She held her power. That's what she did. She held her power. What belief about yourself needs reinforcing so your wins don't slip away? You know what I mean? I want to know, what exactly? Do you have boundaries? Boundaries are everything, just to let you know. Without them, everyone has access. Everyone gets your time. Everyone takes it. You'll end up drained, resentful, and feeling invisible. Boundaries aren't walls. They're like zippers. You get to decide who gets in and who stays out. And that's what happens. I decided what words these men said to me penetrated my thoughts about me. I decided if their comment disrupted my day, or was it just something they needed to say? I decided that their doubts were not mine. I had applied for different positions and I had interviewed for them. Hence, I didn't get the jobs. But I was asked to train 2 men that did get the position. Even though I was writing contracts for one of the positions, I was doing the work. They said I didn't qualify, but they wanted me to train the person to learn how to write contracts, learn how to read, how to make sure that the company was not being overcharged. And even with that, because I was like, you know what? I was angry, but I still wanted to show up and I was still like, yes, person. I was still that person that came in and did everything. I was angry, but I was still doing everything. I was still, okay, what do you need me to do? All right, because I wanted to prove that they made a mistake by not putting me in these jobs. I did. I wanted to prove to them they chose the wrong person. So I was saying yes more, staying late more, flipping my schedule more, being that go-to person. Even though I was cheated out of overtime, passed over, talked to, but I was still the go-to person. But not until that moment when my chief said to me, hey, Samantha, could you find X, Y, and Z? But he had 100 other men standing around me, but he pointed to me to do this extra, this cleanup for other people in their messes. I said, no, not today. I got to go. I got things to do. You know what I had to do? Get in my car and go home because something clicked in me. Something clicked in me in that moment. And I had been doing the work and I had been showing up for me, meaning doing my journaling. So during my journaling, I was able to dump all the gook that was going on in my mind out so I could think more freely. That's what journaling does. It allows you to release all the garbage and put it on paper. And it leaves you empty so that you can now be able to really understand what's going on and why. So I did that. So in that process of learning more about me and allowing myself to stop saying yes, it was because I had learned more about me by letting go and freeing myself from all the crazy thoughts that I was having. And it stopped me from cleaning up everyone else's meshes that were going on because people assume that I had no limits because I didn't show up with any. Because let me tell you, you'll feel drained and angry until you finally stop. And that's what I did. I finally stopped. Yeah, when you work in your truth, you tell yourself the truth. Where you are overgiving, you remember your wins, call them one time and said no. Remember when you're going to remember your wins. Recall, take the time right now and recall you saying no and tell me how it freed you up. You're going to understand because you have your boundaries in place from your brag bag and you're going to understand what's possible. You're going to trust yourself. You're going to believe in yourself. You're going to trust yourself. Your no doesn't make you difficult. It makes you clear. And that's what you're going to trust yourself, that your no is not you being difficult. In your truth, you're going to hold your ground, practice small zip ups, a moment this week where you can say no without apology. That's what you're going to do. So something to think about. Where do you need to zip it up and stop letting people take without giving? Because people will drain you. They will pick you apart as long as they're getting what they want. Because when I started putting things in place and no longer allowing people to do what they want and say what they want to me, I became angry. I became mean. This is what now the great person that they all said I was. When I started putting boundaries in place, when I started putting myself in zipping it up completely, keeping my mouth closed, when I started doing this, when I started showing up for me, when I started believing that I knew that I didn't have to overgive to anyone, that's when the label started. I was labeled in the beginning and then midway because I was overgiving and giving too much of myself. Then I became difficult. I was a problem. Samantha's nasty. Oh my God, did you hear her? Every little thing they picked apart. If I cussed, if they said F you, it was okay. If I said F you, oh, you kiss your mother with that mouth? It was always comparison and judgment when dealing with them because of my no. Because I zipped it up, I put my boundary in place. I was no longer allowing them to run willy-nilly around in my life. So that made them uncomfortable. That made them feel less than. Like my client also, with her showing up and no longer shrugging. They went to her supervisor how bossy she was, how much she wanted to control the jobs. She hasn't been in this position that long that she should want to run the jobs. But what she was doing was standing her ground, zipping it up, putting a boundary in place, holding on to her receipts, and allowing herself to acknowledge what she was capable of. And showing up differently made them uncomfortable. But again, like myself, my client no longer allowed these things to move or shake her. She showed up fully able, willing to speak up for herself, even when they wanted her to feel uncomfortable. She didn't look for those quick hits of, hey, see me, like me, because that's just your body. That's fake. That's not real. And when we look for those small dopamine hits where we're like, oh, thank you so much for noticing me. Thank you so much for being there for me, because of all the bad things that they've said and done to us with their words and their actions. Those make us feel okay. But then that keeps us in a mindset of fear of not knowing which way to go. But when we root ourselves in our own confidence and our own beliefs, we no longer feel that we have to leave a job when we can stand in it. We understand that their discomfort, they usually want to push on us. We understand that's not our business and we let them have that because we look in our bag and we get those receipts and we look at ourselves and we trust ourselves. We believe in ourselves without looking for outside validation first. We validate ourselves by being our own ally, by trusting and believing in what we're doing, how we're doing it, and how we're showing up. That is the win in all of this. That's how we show up differently. That's how we get to stay on these jobs. That's how we no longer lose ourselves. That's what belief is in ourselves. That's when it all changes. That's when we show up and show out. That's when this world shifts, when we're no longer afraid to be there. That because they're draining us, we're no longer having to be armored up every 15 minutes. We're no longer always having to be on guard, rehearsing things over and over in our minds because we've built this strap to hold on to our wins where we're not looking for someone else. We're not allowing it to weigh us down with their garbage on the inside of our brag bag. In our brag bag, we're carrying the things that we need and releasing all the things we don't longer need for ourselves. I'm just saying. So here's what I want you to carry with you for the rest of the week. It's not just about being confident. It's about what you're carrying, how you're holding it, and whether you unpacked yourself with proof, beliefs, and boundaries that can stand the test, your test for you. The outside may get you noticed. It's about what you're carrying, how you're holding it, and whether you've packed yourself with proofs, beliefs, and boundaries that can stand the test of time. The outside may get you noticed, but it's what's on the inside that keeps you respected. If you're listening and thinking, I don't even know what I'm carrying right now, or I'm not sure if my boundaries and beliefs are strong enough, here's the next step. Take my brag bag confidence assessment. It's free and it's quick. 11 questions, and it will show you exactly where you're standing in your confidence right now. The link is in the show notes. Ladies, this is a movement. It's not just about using your voice, it's about keeping it, trusting it, even when someone else tries to take it away. You don't have to shrink over here. We speak from our roots. I'll see you next time. Sis, you don't have to twist, shrink, or hide. You deserve to be seen, heard, and valued for exactly who you are. If this episode spoke to you, make sure you follow, subscribe, so you never miss the conversation. And if you're ready to take this work deeper, take my confidence quiz. The link is in the show notes. Or book a session with me to start showing up in your career and life with the confidence you deserve. Until next time, walk through the door differently, show up, show out, be you, and I'll see you in the next episode. Strong and fierce, taking over. No one can deny we're queens in our own right. Swagger on fleek, we're ruling the game. Turning heads, yeah, we're making our own name. Living free, we're breaking the mold. Unapologetic, we're standing bold. Every picture we post, it's a story untold. We're inspired souls, watch us unfold. Watch us unfold. Capture the moment, hold it tight. Every click, every flash, we're shining so bright. Through the lens, we're showing who we truly